Big Star's music was a lightning bolt in a bottle, shimmering, jangly, and loaded with the kind of hooks that stick in your head for days. Formed in Memphis in the early 1970s, their albums Number One Record and Radio City set the template for what we now call power pop. Critics adored them, but bad luck with record labels and disastrous distribution meant that hardly anyone actually heard their records when they came out. Decades later, musicians like R.E.M. and The Replacements would cite Big Star as a major influence, helping to spark renewed interest. In 2011, Rolling Stone named September Girls one of the greatest songs of all time, proof that their legacy outlived their original run. Today, Big Star's sound echoes in modern indie and alternative bands. It's hard not to wonder what might have happened if more people had gotten to hear them the first time around. Their story is a bittersweet reminder that sometimes, even the brightest stars go unseen. Love's 1967 album, Forever Changes, is frequently ranked among the greatest rock albums ever made. Pitchfork and NME both put it in their top 50 albums of all time. The band was a cornerstone of the Los Angeles music scene, blending folk, rock, and psychedelia into something utterly unique. Arthur Lee, Love's enigmatic frontman, wrote lyrics that were poetic, strange, and sometimes hauntingly beautiful. But Lee's unpredictable behavior and refusal to tour beyond California meant that Love never achieved widespread fame. While The Doors, their Elektra label mates, became legends, Love faded into cult status. Despite this, Alone Again and A House Is Not a Motel became beloved classics for those who found them. Today, new generations keep discovering Forever Changes, and its reputation only grows stronger. The band's music feels both of its time and timeless, a testament to how far ahead of the curve they truly were. Emerging from the late 1970s London punk scene, the Raincoats were a band that defied easy categorization. Their sound was raw, experimental, and deeply personal, a far cry from the polished pop dominating the airwaves. Founders Ana da Silva and Gina Birch made music that was honest, messy, and fiercely independent. While the British press largely ignored them, Nirvana's Kurt Cobain publicly praised the Raincoats, even writing about them in the liner notes of Incesticide. This sparked a minor Raincoats renaissance in the 1990s, but mainstream fame still eluded them. Feminist and indie music circles, however, hold the Raincoats as icons, with their debut album appearing on several Best of Punk lists. Their influence can be heard in countless bands that followed, especially in the Riot Grrrl movement. The Raincoats remind us that sometimes the most important bands are the ones that never quite fit in. Television's 1977 debut, Marquee Moon, is a landmark record, often cited as one of the greatest guitar albums ever made. The band's intricate, interlocking guitar lines and poetic lyrics helped define the New York punk and art rock scene. Yet despite critical acclaim, Television never broke through to mainstream success. They played legendary gigs at CBGB alongside Talking Heads and Blondie, but sales didn't match their reputation. Fans and critics alike hail Marquee Moon as a masterpiece. Rolling Stone, NME, and Pitchfork have all listed it among the best albums ever. After only 2 albums, the band called it quits, leaving behind a brief but brilliant legacy. Their sound influenced everyone from Sonic Youth to The Strokes, and their impact is still felt in indie rock today. Television's music proves that sometimes, the most innovative artists are the ones who remain just outside the spotlight. The Zombies crafted some of the most gorgeous, intricate pop music of the British invasion. Their 1968 album, Odyssey and Oracle, is now hailed as a masterpiece, thanks to tracks like Time of the Season and This Will Be Our Year. Ironically, the band had already broken up by the time Time of the Season became a hit in America. The album's lush harmonies and inventive songwriting were ahead of their time, earning praise from later artists like Paul Weller and Dave Grohl. In 2017, Odyssey and Oracle was ranked among Rolling Stone's 500 greatest albums of all time, highlighting its growing influence. Despite their early end, the Zombies' music has endured, finding new fans every decade. Their story is a lesson in how true artistry sometimes takes years to be fully appreciated. Even now, the Zombies sound as fresh and vital as ever. Sisters Maggie, Tara, and Susie Roche brought a quirky, heartfelt style to folk and pop music that was utterly their own. Their harmonies were intricate and sometimes strange, weaving together stories that were funny, sad, and achingly real. The trio's self-titled debut in 1979 received critical raves, but their offbeat humor and unconventional songwriting kept them from mainstream radio. Still, they built a devoted following, and musicians like Paul Simon invited them to collaborate. Over the years, the Roche released a string of albums that captured their unique spirit, blending family dynamics with sharp observations about life. Their influence can be seen in modern indie folk acts like First Aid Kit and Mountain Man. The Roche remind us that sometimes, being a little too different is its own kind of success. Their music is a treasure chest waiting to be discovered by anyone willing to listen. From Brisbane, Australia, the Go-Betweens wrote songs drenched in melancholy and shimmering with melody. Robert Forster and Grant McLennan's partnership produced albums like 16 Lovers Lane, which is now regarded as a classic of indie rock. Critics in the UK and Australia heaped praise on the band, but commercial success always seemed just out of reach. Despite never breaking through in the US or Europe in a big way, their influence spread quietly. Bands like Belle and Sebastian and The Wedding Present count them as heroes. In recent years, Streets of Your Town and Cattle and Cane have appeared on Best Songs lists, highlighting their slow-burning legacy. The Go-Betweens were inducted into the ARIA Hall of Fame in 2006, proof that their impact was finally being recognized at home. Their bittersweet songs continue to find new audiences who appreciate their subtle brilliance. Led by the eccentric Robyn Hitchcock, the Soft Boys fused psychedelic rock with punk energy, creating a sound that was both retro and ahead of its time. Their 1980 album Underwater Moonlight became a touchstone for college rock and alternative bands in the years that followed. At the time, their music was seen as too weird for the mainstream, and the band splintered before they could fully capitalize on their growing reputation. Later, artists like R.E.M. and the Flaming Lips cited the Soft Boys as a key influence, and the album has since been reissued to critical acclaim. The band's surreal lyrics and jangly guitars helped lay the groundwork for the Paisley underground scene and beyond. In 2020, Underwater Moonlight was named one of the best albums of the 1980s by The Guardian. The Soft Boys story is proof that sometimes, the world just isn't ready for greatness until years later. Blue Cheer's version of Summertime Blues is sometimes called the first true heavy metal recording, blasting out of speakers with a fuzzed-out wall of sound in 1968. The band's raw, almost unhinged energy set them apart from their San Francisco peers. While bands like Jefferson Airplane became household names, Blue Cheer's reputation was built on sheer volume and chaos. Despite their influence, they never had the mainstream hits to match their impact. Today, metal historians routinely cite Blue Cheer as proto-metal pioneers, with bands like Motorhead and Deep Purple counting them as influences. In 2015, Rolling Stone declared Blue Cheer the loudest band of the 1960s, a badge they wore with pride. Blue Cheer's legacy is a lesson in how sometimes, being too far ahead of the curve means you get left behind, at least for a while. Shuggie Otis was a true prodigy, writing and recording his first album at just 15. His 1974 masterpiece Inspiration Information blended psychedelic soul, funk, and blues in ways that wouldn't become popular for decades. Otis turned down an offer to join the Rolling Stones on tour, choosing instead to stay home and work on his music. While his albums didn't sell much at the time, musicians like Prince and Lenny Kravitz have sung his praises, and Strawberry Letter 23 Inches became a hit for the Brothers Johnson. In the early 2000s, Inspiration Information was reissued and finally started getting the recognition it deserved. Critics and fans now call it years ahead of its time, and it regularly appears on greatest albums lists. Shuggie Otis's story is one of patience. The world finally caught up to his vision. Slint's 1991 album, Spiderland, helped invent the post-rock genre, even though almost no one heard it when it first came out. The band recorded the album in near total isolation, then broke up before it was even released. Over time, though, Spiderland became a sacred text for underground musicians, influencing bands like Mogwai, Explosions in the Sky, and Godspeed You! Black Emperor. Its whispered vocals, shifting dynamics, and eerie mood set a blueprint that countless bands would follow. In 2014, Spiderland was reissued with a deluxe box set and a documentary, cementing its place as a cult classic. Pitchfork and NME now rank it among the most important albums of the 1990s. Slint's brief existence shows how sometimes, the most groundbreaking art takes years to be truly understood. Their music feels like a secret passed from one generation to the next. This concludes the list.